So I believe we already have start recording. So that's that. Can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the today we are basically covering the second lecture, which is basically the development process. So as these are very preliminary issues. So we are talking about database development process. Here we are talking about top-down approach. So it could be two ways. One is as it is mentioned top-down. Other could be bottom-up. So anything can be done in both ways. So we are focusing on top-down approach. So here it mentioned about 4 steps. So the very first step is making plan. This plan is done by the information system architecture. As you have seen in the previous lecture, we have talked about architecture of the database system, 2-tier architecture, 3-tier architecture. So these sort of planning should be done in this phase. How the database should be look like, who would be user, how many layers should be there. So that is the planning phase. Then we have to conduct analysis. In the analysis, we need to find out what exactly the purpose of the system. So what are the processes, what are the functions of the system? So here we try to find out the functional specification. We will come to this slide very soon. Then after getting the requirement, we start designing the system. So in database, we design through ER diagram, normalization. So these are the techniques that we use for designing. And finally, we implement the system. So these are the typical 4 phases of database system. Is there any issue here?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, so let's proceed then. So in the planning, as you know, the purpose is understanding the business situation and how the problem can be solved. So we need to think about the opportunities. So that's basically the planning phase. So in the planning phase, we basically analyze the current data processing, we analyze the general business functions so that we can figure out which model will be suitable in this particular case. Similarly, in the analysis, as we have mentioned, we try to find out the functional requirements. So here we want to determine the requirements, the structures of those requirements, and then basically we try to find out the system features. We call those things features of the system. So here we basically try to develop the preliminary concept data model. We try to compare the preliminary data model with enterprise data model. So these are some kind of work that we do. But we, in this course, we will go through all those things, how we do analysis, we will show you. So I think like for the time being, if you don't understand, don't panic or don't basically think that, okay, you are missing everything in the class. Don't take steps in detail. So in designing, as we have mentioned, designing is here, as you can see, like designing is basically divided into 2 phases. One is logical database design, where we create model using entity relationship diagram. That is drawing, simple drawing. We will draw the database structure, and then we have to implement the database structure that we have drawn in the system. We have to convert the drawing in the system, which would be known as physical database design. So these are 2 types of design that we will try to see in design part. Finally, we have to implement. You have to write code. You have to connect your front end with your back end, and then basically you have to execute everything, and you have to show the result to me or to whoever have given you the charge to develop the database. To them, you need to show how the database is working. So these are the 4 steps. Is it okay? Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Good. Finally, we have one more step here, which was not there in the previous slide and the very first slide. That is maintenance. Once the work is done, what do we have to do? We have to maintain the system. So what is maintenance? What does maintenance refer to? As you know, like once we are working with IRA, sometimes you face problem, right? So what do you do? If you face problem, what do you do?
Take the servers down, sir, and work on it.
Exactly. Sometimes the server is down, and then basically we need to fix those things. How do you fix those things?
By fixing bugs.
By fixing bugs, or maybe it might also happen like the server got switched off, right? The server got switched off. There is no power. It could happen. There is no internet is there, or maybe internet cable has been loosened, or maybe the internet cable has been unplugged. So these small things could also happen, right? So these things, this kind of work is known as maintenance. So fixing bug is basically programmer's job, but other than that, those are things that need to be taken care of by the system admin or the people who are in charge of the system. So this is basically maintenance part. Now I would like to talk about something else, which basically have nothing to do with the content of this course. For an example, whenever because after completing this course or after completing this degree, you will be programmer. So you will be writing code for different companies, or maybe you can open your own farm and you can start selling software. So there are different ways people or people are basically doing business. Do you have any idea on those things? How we do business with softwares? Anyone?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No idea at all.
Sir, wait.
স্যার কোশ্চেনটা আসলে বুঝিনি, একটু আরেকবার বলবেন?
Question is how people are doing business with softwares.
Yes, sir.
Sir, by selling subscriptions to it, or like
Or
basically
building
yeah.
software as a service.
Okay, very good. So you already have come up with two alternate to me. One is saying by selling subscription, that means my software has been developed and I am selling the subscription. And another one is saying by selling the software, that means I am developing the software and I am selling it, right? So these are the two examples that you have mentioned, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so very good. Yes, these could be typical ways how can we make business out of the software. So for an example, on ERP, a normal ERP, like a registration software that you have seen in IUB. So do you know how much that particular software could worth? Any idea? A software like IRAS, how much that could worth?
Sir, upwards of $1 million taka maybe.
Millions of taka. Very good. It might cost around 2 to 5 crore of taka.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now think about it. I can do my business by selling the software with that amount of money, with 2 crore of taka. But if I sell this software with 2 crore of taka, how many people can purchase?
Not many.
Very few.
Very few. Very good. Very few. But if I reduce the price, let's say if I take 10 lakh taka, how many can purchase?
Much more than previous.
Definitely more.
Much more than previous. So that's the thing. That's the difference between giving the software, develop the software for a client, and giving the subscription. Because whenever we are giving subscription, we don't give the right of the software to the people. We just give right of the software to use only, right? So in that case, like for example, Microsoft, a sophisticated software like Microsoft, how much we need to pay them? How much we need to pay them? Maybe 10,000, 15,000. With 10 to 15,000 taka, you can use a sophisticated software like Microsoft. Then why a less sophisticated software like IRAS, we need to pay crore of taka, isn't it? Why so? Then Microsoft is losing money or Iris is making money. What is your thought on that?
Sir, Iris a customer হচ্ছে একটা, but Microsoft has like millions of customers around the world.
Very good, very good. So there you go. So Microsoft billions of customers, right? So Microsoft has billions of customers, and if they got only 1 taka from one customer, then they can earn billion of taka. But Iris has only one client, so they need to earn everything from that client. So that's the reason why when we are talking about software development, we need to think of those aspects as well. I know that has nothing to do with your course, but in our software engineering course we will talk more about these things. So let me focus on database here. Let's not got into detail of those what I have just mentioned right now, but I'm really glad to know like you guys are really keen about those things and you are understanding those issues. Okay, so these are the two development approach that we initially discuss. We initially will discuss first of one is known as waterfall model, which is known as system development life cycle, and second one is prototyping, which is basically another model which is very okay, let me go through those things, then it would be easier, I believe, for you to understand. So waterfall model or SDLC is a sequential process. It's a sequential process. One by one you have to work on these each and every phases. So first of all, we need to conduct analysis, we need to make plan, we need to design, we need to develop, we need to test, we have to deploy, we need to evaluate, we need to maintain, we have to evaluate, then basically we'll go to disposal, and then we again come to the analysis phase. So one by one we are doing things that would be known as SDLC. You can't jump from analysis to coding, you can't jump from planning to disposal, you can't do that. So there is a sequential process. That's why it is known as SDLC or waterfall model, because like when water is flowing, so it's basically fall from top to bottom, so it's basically the structure. So that's why this model is also known as waterfall model. So these are the steps. We can also have these sort of steps. As you can see here, we have initiation. So first of all, we need to have the need of the system. Someone should be telling, okay, I need a system that need to be developed. So this is the initiation part. Then system concept should be developed. Okay, how that need can be converted to a system. Then we have to start planning, collect requirements, design the system, develop the system, integrate the system with testing, and then we have to do implementation. After that, we have to go for operation and maintenance, because when system is live there should be problems, so we have to provide maintenance support, and then it would be disposition of the system. So it is the end of the system activities when basically there is no need of the system, so the system basically retired. So that's how the life cycle of the system will be. So is it clear, the phases? Any question? So as we already have mentioned, like the phases of database, so this is basically breakdown of the phases in multiple parts. So previously we have talked about 5, now we get let's say 10 phases of software development or system development life cycle. So here we have 10 phases. Is it okay? Can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So now we are talking about prototyping. So prototyping is, as you can see at the very beginning, we have to identify a problem. Someone should be saying, okay, I need to develop a system. So same thing occurs here. As you can see on the left side, we have left top, we have identifying the problem. So first one is identification of the problem. So when we have a problem, we would be providing some initial requirement. Let's say I need to have a system which is for my library, then I need to provide you the requirement. Okay, for the library, what I need, So I will provide you some basic requirements. Okay, I need to maintain the information of the book, I need to maintain information of the client would be asking for the books, and when they will be getting the books, I need to register the book in name of the on the name on his account, and then basically when he returns, then basically I need to give the entry, and if it is late, then basically I need to able to calculate the fees and so on. So that's basically how I prepared some initial requirements. After providing the initial requirements, what will happen in prototype model? The developer will develop an initial prototype, and they will give the user to use the system. So as you know, in the previous model, if I go back here, in the previous model, you can see this is a circle, right? That we have start with analyzing, planning, design, development, testing, and everything is done. Then basically we end the system. But here, what happened? We on the fly, getting the requirements, I give you a system to work with. So this system, the developed initial prototype could be, there could be two ways. We can incrementally develop the prototype, or it could be a throwaway prototype. So there will be two types. One is incremental development. So that means I work with a particular features and then send it to you. You give me correction, and basically the next version I add few more modules to it, and you work with that. So there will be interaction with you and me. This is basically incremental prototyping. But throwaway prototyping could be, okay, I give you whatever you have asked me, you tell me, okay, is it okay or not? You give me some problem, you give me some obstacle, or you give me some observation, then basically I work with those observation and come up with the next version of the prototype. So as you can see here in the implement and use of prototype, so this is basically after working with the prototype, if I get problem, if user get problem, so we need to revise the prototype, and new version should be released. A new version should be coming to the user. So user is facing problem, I'm revising, I'm getting back to the user is again facing problem, I'm revising. So in this way we are designing, or we are developing the problem. So if we found the problem is fully satisfying the need of the user, we complete the system, and we say this is basically done, the system is developed. So this is known as prototyping model. This is a quick way of designing the system. Any questions so far? Any questions?
স্যার থ্রো অ্যাওয়েটা আরেকবার বলবেন?
Achha. So as I have mentioned, prototype could be of two types. You don't need to understand those things because these are not within the purview of my course, but I'm just mentioning those things just for information. So there are two ways of prototype. One is you, let's say how can I explain that? You want to draw a picture. You want to draw a picture of a human. So first of all, you draw the head, then you draw the arm, then you draw the body, then you draw the leg. So this way of doing the work is known as incremental prototyping. So with each and every increment is basically additional module, and combining those modules would be your final product, as we were doing in the report. So you are submitting report 1, report 2, report 3, but these 3 reports would be combined together and they will form your final report. So that is what I'm saying. This is incremental prototype. And through a prototype, you do everything in one go. So you sketch the whole body in one go, then there is correction, then basically you do coloring on the body, then basically you polish it and you come up with the right picture. You change the face, you change the arms. So everything, whatever you do with the whole thing. You don't play with the part. So that is throwaway prototype. You completely you develop the system as a whole, and then basically you give the delivery to the user. User will play with that. User will find problem. You will revise those problem, and then again they will come back, and you will deliver the product. They will again find the problem, and they will send the product back. So this is known as throwaway prototype. Why it is throwaway prototype? The reason behind, the initial version would be thrown away once the new release would be done. But in incremental, everything what we are doing, nothing is basically wasted. Everything would be required, because whatever you are doing that for forever, or as long as the system will run. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other query? Any other questions?
Sir, can you give me one example of throw away prototype?
Okay, throw away prototype. For example, I take one photo of you. Okay, I give you the photo. Asia, this is your photo. You say, sir, I don't like this photo because I'm not smiling in this photo. What I will do? What I have to do then?
You will capture another one, sir.
Again,
Yes,
capture another one.
I will say, okay, Asia cheese, say cheese, then basically you will smile. I will take another snaps, right? So what will happen with the previous photo that I have sent you? That makes no sense. So I don't need that. I will be throwing it out. So that's how the throw. This is basically the way the system would be developed using throw away prototyping model. So whatever you develop, you have to throw it out when the new release will come.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any further queries? Any other questions? Nope. Then let's proceed, right? Now we are talking about the third model of system development, which is known as agile model. So agile is basically the word agile is basically meaning it is changeable, something that can be changing, something always changing. So agile is basically the very popular model which is used throughout the world. So that's why we are introducing this agile model. So here we are focusing on individuals and interactions over the process and tools. So whenever I'm talking about my requirement, so I'm focusing on you. I'm not focusing on the requirement. I'm focusing on you, what you want. And basically I have to think about documenting whatever you are telling. I need to have a well documentation system. At least minimum documentation would be required. And here the priority must be set. Like I say, okay, I need 10 or 15 things to be developed or to be there in my software. Then you must need to understand, you must need to realize which one I want to see first, or which of those are my core activities or core processes or core requirements. So that's the reason why agile become very important, because it deals with customer, it deals with individual, it deals with the priority, it deals with the risk optimization, it deals with all those features that basically help us to basically focus on a particular customer, focus on the collaboration on the customer, focus on the change request. So that's how it is. That's why it become very popular software development methods. Now what we have in agile, let's see. So in step number one we have evaluation of processes and current structure of the company. So it would be evaluation process. So we will be doing evaluation. So what is the actual state? What is the actual state of the system? Then in step 2 we will suggest for improvement and process optimization. So it might happen like whatever you are doing right thing, but the process may be lengthy. So I can reduce the process a little so that I can optimize the time required to complete the actions or complete the business process. So this is basically optimization can be done, improvement should be done. So that is the process number 2. Number 3, we come up with application design together with the client. So here we don't left the client alone. It's not like that, okay, I am developing the system and basically I'm taking no input from you. So it would be with you, I will be designing the system. So I will involve you in the designing system so that you can't reject my software, because at that time I will say, okay, you have given me this input. That's why software is like that. So you are incorporating the client, you are getting his feedback, you are taking the priority, you are taking note of how, what is the, let's say, what is the color, what color they prefer. Even color is very important once you are designing the software. And then after designing is done, your basically application would be construction and implementation should be done. So this is basically, this is done at the client end. So client would be start using your software. After that, you have to be able to evaluate and monitor the system. So you need to identify KPI. KPI stands for key performance indicator. So as I have mentioned in process number 2, that we have to think about improvement. So how improvement could be done? So improvement is required when I think, or when I found my KPI is not up to the mark. Now, how do we define KPI for call center? You know, you have knowledge on call center, right? Call centers.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How they define their KPI, the key performance indicator, how they could define their key KPI? Any idea?
Sir, a rating system for each of the operators from the customers.
A rating system is fine, but the most important KPI for them is number of call attended per minute or per second. So that's basically how they found whether you are going to that level or not, how long it takes to provide support to the client. So if you can provide support to 10 customers in a particular minute, then basically maybe if that is the standard I set, then you could say, okay, if I comply the standard, I am meeting, I am basically gaining the KPI, or I am basically fulfilling the KPI that I have set. So this is basically what I am trying to say when we would be evaluating the system and monitoring the system. We have to have the KPIs ready. Now, can you think of something for our registration system? What should be the KPIs for the registration system? Key performance indicator, how you define the key performance indicator for the registration system?
So the number of students who can register at once, like I don't know.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
The
So
number of problem faced during registration.
okay, yes, this is the reverse way, right? Number of problem faced. So we need to be able to reduce the number of problem faced, and we have to increase number of successes. So that's basically how the KPI should be defined. KPI could be a reverse way, as who mentioned that number of people who have faced problem. Okay, very good. So that could be even a KPI. And our target would be reducing the this number, reducing the number, reducing the number. Very good. So for an example, I'm a manufacturing company. I manufacture, let's say, I manufacture mask. So let's say surgical mask I manufacture. So what should be my target? What should be my target?
Number of masks made in minutes, or
Okay, very good. So as a manufacturing company, my target should be creating mask with low amount, with less amount, right? So
yes,
I have to reduce cost. I have to reduce cost, and the same time I have to increase the quality, right? I have to reduce time of manufacturing so that I can prepare more mask in a particular amount of time. So these are some sort of KPIs for the production companies. Similarly, for software production companies, they also set KPIs like that. How many modules has been developed by the programmer, whether the modules that has been developed has any problem or not, how many tests, how many errors are coming from the module, how many errors are detected from that particular module. So these are some sort of KPIs that you can think for the software development company as well. Is it okay? Can you follow those things?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a complete lecture on those issues. So when those lectures will be coming, we will discuss more. So far, then basically we found like we have to set my KPI, and I have to evaluate the system, and I have to match with my standard, whether they match with my standard. If that doesn't match, then basically what I need to do, I need to check, I need to go back again to the evaluation process, and I need to identify why the problems, what is the problems. I need to look for the improvement. I have to design the system again, I have to implement the system again, and then again I have to do evaluation. So these become a what, is it a sequential process, or it is a basically block process? So it is a block process. That means you are not going out of it. So you are each and every iteration you are getting a better system, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So that's basically how this agile method will be coming up. It would be always, you will come up with an increment, you will come up with a new version, and each and every time the new version would be a better version. So you can see this has something related with this is related with the SDLC waterfall model, because these steps are there. And this is also somehow comparable to prototyping, because in prototyping they give you problem and you fix the problem, you get back to them again. But here basically you evaluate everything should be evaluated. So that's why it is a combination of SDLC and prototyping. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So these are the people who are involved in a project. We have business analyst. Any idea about business analyst? What is the role of a business analyst?
Sir, who deals with every aspects of a business?
Very good. For an example, I ask you, okay, come and design an accounting system for me. So do you know accounting?
No, sir.
We don't know accounting, right? We are technical guy. So we are basically good at programming. We don't know how these accounting things basically work. So for that we need someone who would be domain expert. That term is also known as domain expert, someone who is expert in accounting. At the same time, they have idea how to transfer the domain knowledge to the developers. So this is why they are considering as business analysts. They are having idea, or they know the business, and they know how to convert the business norms into in terms of IT. That's why they are known as business analysts. Second part we have,
Domain
yes,
what, sir?
domain expert,
Okay.
domain experts. Okay, so each, for example, you are going to develop a medical software. Do you know anything about medical? I don't know. So I, if you tell me how this sort of thing will work, I won't be able to answer anything. As an expert in IT, I will be having no idea about medical. I have no idea about electronics. I have no idea about maybe mechanical things. So, but if I need to develop a system for them, then I need to know how those things will work. So to know those things, we need someone who would be expert in the business. At the same time, they know how to transfer those knowledge to the IT guys. So that's why we need business analysts. Then we have system analyst. System analyst would be able to understand the system. So he is not business guy, but he would be an understandable. He would be expert in the system, and he can interpret. If you give the requirement, he can design the system for you. So that's why we have system analyst. Then we have database analyst or data modeler, the person who would be modeling the data. We have user who would be providing you the requirements. We have programmers who would be coding. We have architect who would be designing the architecture of the database. We need database administrator who would be administrating the database. Maintenance work should be done by that. We would be requiring project manager who would be managing the whole project. We need other technical expert as well. So when we are talking about a project, these are the roles that we should have for the project. Now going back to the IS structure, information system structure. We have talked about those things. Remember, like in our first lecture. In our first lecture, we have talked about these things. We have talked about 3-tier model, right? Remember?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
We
sir.
have talked about 3-tier model, right? So
Yes, sir.
3-tier model, very good. So in 3-tier model, let me use some pen. So in 3-tier model,
Sir,
we have talked about
Sir, we
2-tier
have
model.
talked-
We have talked about 2-tier model. We have talked about 3-tier model. Both we have talked, right?
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, what would be the structure here in this particular IS structure? Which model you could see?
Sir, multi-tier.
Multi-tier.
Okay, and multi-tier means 3-tier or 2-tier?
3-tier.
Twitter, sir.
3-tier. Can you name me the tires?
Client,
Can you name me the tires?
Application.
web server, or database server.
Can you see that I have make something in red, mark something under red?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, these are my clients. I could have
Yes.
accounting could be my client, sales could be my client, customer are my client, purchasing could be my client, right? So
Yes,
all
sir.
of these are my client, right? So now it is very good, you have answered correctly, but it is not fully correct. Anyway, customer is connecting with web server is connected with database server. So you can see 3-tier architecture. We have customer, we have web server, we have database server, 3-tier, right? We have sale,
Yes, sir.
we have web server, we have database server. Sale is connected with web, and web is connected with database. So we have 3-tier. We have accounting. We have accounting which is connected with cell. Cell is connected with web. Web is connected with database. So how many tiers are there?
So 4-tier.
4-tier. Very good. So this is again multi-tier. We have accounting. Accounting is connected with purchase. Purchase is connected with database. So how many tier is there?
So 3.
Very good. Purchase itself a client. So purchase is connected with database server. So how many tiers are there?
2 tires.
2 tiers. Very good. So this is a complex or a hybrid system where we have combination of 3-tier, 2-tier, and 4-tiers. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So this is job of whom? Who will design this sort of thing?
System analyst. Analyst.
System analyst, yes. At the same time, architect, database architect should be involved in this work. Okay, system analyst, correct, and database architect. So as you can see here, we have database architects. Database architect should be involved in this process as well, along with system analyst. So this is basically we are talking about database architecture. So 3 schemas we are talking about. 3 schema architecture. One is physical level, external level, that is logical level, and conceptual level. It is basically in direction between other description of the whole database community or the users. So here the next page we have as you can see, this is the external users who have external views, and from their external views they interact with the conceptual schemas. So conceptual schemas on the middle. So we have external views, and end users are relating with external views, and then they connect through conceptual schema. Then from conceptual schema is connected with internal schema, and internal schema is basically actually connected with the stored database. So we have stored database is connected with internal schema, which is connected with conceptual schema, and then from conceptual schema we can have external views, and end users connect with the system with these external views.
Sir, is schema and scheme same?
Schema and scheme.
Yes.
Schema and scheme are not same. we are referring to schema whenever we would be talking at in database. We refer the term schema.
Okay, sir.
Is there any other questions? Any question? No? Okay. So these are different types of language of database. We have data definition language known as DDL. This is designed for DBA, database administrator or database designer. We have SDL, storage definition language, that is for internal schemas. We have view definition language, that is for users views. We have DML, data manipulation language, that is for using for data manipulation. So these are three different types of schemas or three different types of language that support different types of schemas. There are different types of database interfaces. We have menu-based interface, we have graphics interface, form-based interface, and different types of interfaces are there. These are for your information that database system can have multiple interfaces. The elements of analysis model. So there are three primary objectives. We need to describe what the customer requires. We have to establish a basis for the creation of the software design, and we have to define a set of requirements that can be validated once software is built or developed. So these are very important things. So we need to have three different objectives. So we need to know what customer need. We need to understand the software based on that, and a requirement should be able to be compared with the software that has been developed. Data modeling. Here basically we need to answer these questions: whether the primary data objects are entities, compositions of the attributes are there or not, relationships are there or not within the objects. So these are answers that we have to find when we are doing the data modeling. So this is it from today. So if you have any query, we can ask. You can ask, and then basically we can answer your questions. So
Sir, is the project same for